guys, welcome back to my channel. Just before we get into it, I want to give you guys a quick update. Thank you so much for everyone who sent your well wishes after the passing of my friend. After all in all, I decided I did not want to go to the funeral. It was going to be up in the mountains, and my husband would have not been able to go with me, and I felt like it wasn't the time. It wasn't the time for me to be up in the friggin' Alps without the most important person in my life and going through such a difficult time. And I'm already extremely busy with my work and with our business, and it was too much for me. And sometimes in life, you know what, you have to just say it's too much. Last night we had dinner with two of our friends in Paris, and we left them with this gigantic, ostentatious flower piece. It literally was huge, guys. And it wasn't meant to be that way. It just like the florist just, I guess, I don't know. Maybe he had a vision. I don't know. But it was absolutely huge. But we left that and some knickknacks for our friends, some mutual friends, to take with them up into the mountains. And you know what? I knew they really wanted me to come, and they were disappointed that I was coming. But you know what? They're going up there because they need closure in their own way. And you know what? I feel like I got that closure while my friend was here. I feel like I really did. You know, like he is already transitioning into a beautiful, angelic, phase that we can't even fathom. We can't even wrap our head around. He is transitioning into that penultimate phase of being next to our Lord and Savior, of coming to God. And that person in the box is not my friend. That is the body that he walked around in. But he's already started his transition, and I was so lucky to know him. And I know that he would want me to do what's best for me. And I know that he'd be like, girl, just like, it's okay. It's all good. I can just hear his voice. So, yeah, I was literally talking to my husband, like, back in the day when I was really young. I remember being around my grandparents, and my grandma, my granddad was a deacon in the church, and there would be a lot of funerals, and my grandma would never go to the funerals. She'd send like cornbread or biscuits or something in return. And I used to ask my mom, like, why does my dear never go to the funerals? And my mom would say, oh, well, she doesn't deal with death very well, And as an adult who's been to a handful of funerals at this point, I definitely understand that sentiment. It can be hard, but still, I'm doing good. I'm taking it a day at a time, and it is. I am totally hopeful for the future, and I know my friend would want me to be happy. And so again, I'm so thankful to have you guys here. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Hi you guys, this is your girl Najwa. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you're here. Oh my god. Okay, so if you're new to my channel, please do me a favor. Go ahead and click the like and subscribe button. Hit the bell so you know whenever I post a video. So today I want to talk a little bit about Prince Harry, and the role that he plays that's so much bigger than he knows, and why I'm so thankful for him. He's so brave and courageous in the face of this media reform that needs to happen in the UK. We talked on this channel before about some of the ins and outs, like how, the media in the UK is basically owned by 3 monopolies, one of those owned by Rupert Murdoch. We know now that in the US, Fox News is about to have to pay about almost $1 billion mixed all up with Rupert Murdoch and his mess. The same fake news and inciting of fear and hate and extremism that Rupert Murdoch has caused, the havoc that he's caused in the US, which is now there's retribution happening, he's been doing in the UK. And maybe not everybody can see it, but what Prince Harry is a part of is culminating in the bringing down of all of it and the changing of all of it to make the media in the UK more tolerant, more ethical, and to reform it. in the video where we talked about why the UK hates Meghan Markle, we talked about the Levinson inquiry, and it's very funny because in this video we're going to watch in a second here, he also talks about the Levinson inquiry. In the U.S., like Kamala Harris in her speech, she talked about how, the people who are sitting in these elected official seats are not there for lobbyists. They're not there for rich backers. One of the reasons in the U.S., the place where 100,000 people already this year have died because of gun violence, the reason gun reform has not happened is not a reflection of what the people want. The people clearly want gun reform, but the National Rifle Association has lobbyists in Washington, D.C. And so a lot of these people are quite literally just being paid off by rich donors to incite fear and hate and violence amongst people. The same thing is happening in the UK. So, I mean, the fact that there is retribution that I see coming towards Fox News, coming towards Rupert Murdoch, coming towards Donald Trump in the United States, it gives me hope for what's happening in the UK. And I think that Prince Harry is a big part of that. Even though, in the grand scheme of things, he's just one more advocate, He's one more activist and humanitarian in the face of the corrupt UK media, and many others will rally around him, to sort of put in action for this very important cause as well. Even what we're doing here, on the international scale of just talking about this and saying, hey, you know what, I'm praying for my British brothers and sisters, because you can see the media over there really, really needs to be reformed. People are not stupid. They're not stupid. Not in the US, not in the UK, and they're not going to be being talked to like they're stupid for forever. So, let's take a look at this video. This video is entitled Prince Harry's case against Daily Mail draws Levinson parallel. But this was actually from ABC News Australia. And they speak with Stephen Barnett, who is a professor of communications at the University of Westminster. And we know, like I said, from the sort of research that we did on this subject before, that the Levinson inquiry had the opportunity to be extended to a 2.0 sort of approach. But the lobbyists in the UK, similarly to like how the NRA is kind of strong arming up in Washington, the lobbyists in the UK kept that from happening. And what has happened for 7 years, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry have been the subject of just utter constant hate campaigning for 7 years. So let's take a look at this together, and then after that we'll talk about our thoughts, and let's go ahead and do it.
Well, obviously the best known claimant is Prince Harry, but it's a pretty good lineup of A-listers who are bringing this case against the Mail newspapers, including Elton John, his husband David Furnish. You've got the actresses Liz Hurley and Sadie Frost, and perhaps possibly least known in Australia, but in my view the most explosive, is Doreen Lawrence, Baroness Lawrence, who is the mother of the murdered teenager Stephen Lawrence, for whom the Mail ironically campaigned for many years to bring his murderers to justice. And she is the one who perhaps has come out as the most aggrieved in terms of the allegations that are being made.
We'll go into more detail as to what those allegations entail. Claimants were not required to attend the 4-day preliminary hearing, but Prince Harry made a surprise appearance. How significant is this, and what did he have to say?
Yeah, Prince Harry, it seems like he actually flew over, especially for this trial. And you're absolutely right that none of the claimants were obliged to appear. These were quite technical legal arguments, but in fact, on the first day, they all did, every single one of them. And that was probably a concerted effort to demonstrate that they wanted to make sure these claims were given publicity, that this wasn't going to be brushed under the carpet, and that the UK and the rest of the world were going to hear the nature of the claims being made.
So what did some of the witness statements from claimants such as Elton John say?
Okay, well, I think it's important to say that the original allegations related specifically to allegations of listening in to messages. That's what the phone hacking claims were all about, and they are still in the process of being settled. These claims go a lot further than that. We're talking about not just phone hacking, i.e. listening to messages, but phone tapping, i.e. listening to live conversations. There are allegations that that cars were bugged, police officers were bribed, that there were unlawful payments to police officers, and that homes were burgled. And perhaps most damagingly, that confidential medical and financial records were illegally accessed or blagged, as it's known in the trade, by private investigators, either pretending to be the claimant or pretending to act on their behalf. So these are really serious allegations.
One claimant who has really brought attention to the case, as you have said, is Doreen Lawrence, the mother of murdered teenager Stephen Lawrence. What can you tell us about her arguments?
Well, her arguments are that she says that she was followed, that her movements were monitored, that her bank accounts and other confidential records were monitored over a period of getting on for 20 years, while the Mail was purporting to act on her behalf and on behalf of the justice. She says she now sees that the Daily Mail's true interests were about self-promotion, and using her and her son's murder as a means to generate exclusive headlines, sell newspapers, and to profit. And she says she feels she's let down her son. So despite the A-list quality of her fellow claimants, her claims are probably the most damaging in terms of the Mail's reputation. It's important to say throughout this, of course, that the Mail vigorously deny any of these allegations.
Well, that's right. Associated Newspapers is seeking to have the cases thrown out on the basis that the allegations, which date over a 25-year period, as I understand it, were brought too late. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, their argument. Well, they have two arguments. The first is that the cases are what they call stale, that the claimant should have known before now that they had claims, and that they are at least 6 years old and really should be thrown out because they're out of date. Their other argument is that they are relying on confidential documents which Associated Newspapers, the publisher of the Mail newspapers, gave to the Leveson inquiry in 2011, and they have no right to use that documentation, those confidential documents.
Well, the case brings back memories of the Leveson inquiry into the culture, practices and ethics of the British press. Remind us again what resulted from that in the end.
Well, there were originally two parts to that. It was discovered that the News of the World, which has since closed down, Rupert Murdoch's Sunday newspaper over here, hacked the voicemails of the murdered schoolgirl Millie Dowler. That then, the horror that followed those revelations resulted in the Leveson inquiry being set up. And it had two parts. The first was to come up with some ideas for independent regulation of the press, which the news publishers over here have managed to circle round and sideline over the last 10 years. But there was a second part of it, which was actually to look at the sort of who did what, and to bring to account the very senior people in editorial positions who sanctioned the unlawful activity. That never happened after a huge amount of lobbying by these very large press corporations. The government was persuaded to drop the second part of that Leveson inquiry. And there are real questions now as to whether we should resuscitate that second part of the Leveson inquiry, because there is clearly unfinished business here.
Well, turning our attention back to the current case, what happens next?
Well, the case will finish either the legal pleadings will finish either today or tomorrow. After that, I don't think we're going to hear the judge deciding straight away. He will take it away. He will think about the arguments, and then decide whether it goes to a full trial. And remember, what we're talking about here is pre-trial arguments. The male trying to have the case thrown out without a trial. The claimant saying this really needs to go to a full trial, where a judge can hear the evidence and then make a finding as to whether these allegations are true, are real, and if so, what sort of sanctions there should be.
Well, we'll watch with interest how this pans out. Stephen Barnett, thank you so much.
So you guys heard it, Stephen Barnett, and he explained that so wonderfully, so plainly. I definitely am not an expert on Leveson inquiry, media reform, the United Kingdom. I don't even know all of the ins and outs of their politics, guys. I am not an expert. Again, I'm just giving my 2 cents here as someone who lived there very briefly and as someone who is now following Meghan Markle and her experiences with all this, because she is an American who lived in the UK. But I do know from that video that I made about how the UK media has really targeted Meghan Markle in a propaganda hate campaign, and the media needs to be reformed. I do know from that research about the Leveson inquiry, and it was that exact same thing that we were talking about. The media had the chance to be reformed. There was a chance for a Leveson 2.0, essentially, that never happened. And so it's like the same thing, guys. The exact same thing is happening in the U.S. right now. It's so comical when you have enough, I guess, know-how to at least see these patterns, because these people think that everyday people are just stupid. It's absolutely insane, and the thing is I was looking at the speech from Kamala Harris that I shared with you all, but she did another one at the NAN conference, and it was in one of those. Either it was the one that we discussed on this channel or the one from the NAN conference, where Kamala Harris was basically saying, that elected officials aren't there for the interests of lobbyists and, high status donors. They're there for the people. Like what is happening right now in the U.S., the fact that over 100,000 people already in this year alone have lost their lives to gun violence, but the U.S. will not change its policies, has absolutely nothing to do with public opinion. Most people want to see some gun reform happen to keep this from happening. But big backers who have lobbyists in D.C., like the NRA, the National Rifle Association, keep that from happening. Same thing happening in the UK. These big, really, really, really rich backers and lobbyists who are keeping policy that protects individuals from happening. So I feel like Prince Harry is a smart man. I mean, I have, an Android, an iPhone, a tablet, and a Mac. And with all of those things, I can just go on apps and internet and stuff and figure stuff out. I think that Prince Harry is probably a similar type person, and so is Meghan Markle. If you look at what's in front of you, you can pretty much usually kind of put 1 and 2 together. He's a smart guy, so I'm pretty sure he sees that there's a deeper issue here. A lot of these propaganda channels will make, oh, that's just the crazy left. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. And they'll keep pumping out this stuff that incites hate and fear and anxiety in people, all because it gets them a bottom line. It gets them money. They've been tapping people's phones for years. I mean, I think it was Doria Lawrence. I'm sorry. Stephen Lawrence's mom. Hers, I didn't even know that she had also attended the case, the trial that Prince Harry had gone to. So, let me know what you guys think in the comments. It's like, I feel like Prince Harry, really, he is doing a huge, huge service. He has no idea, because most people really, they just don't have the courage to go up against what seems like such a big monster. But the good thing is that when someone who is brave enough to step forward, like Prince Harry has done, when they do that, when people like Meghan Markle come forward, or Kamala Harris, or Joe Biden, or Barack Obama, or Nancy Pelosi, they might get scrapes and scratches and wounds and, broken bones and all of that stuff. But they will usually stand up to keep fighting the good fight. And the people around them will rally around them to continue fighting the good fight. That's just how people like Martin Luther King Jr. and John Lennon and Bob Marley, that's why those types of people were visionaries. I just pray. I pray with everything in my being that the Lord keeps Prince Harry and Meghan Markle safe. I hope that they never, ever take anything for granted, because this is a crazy, crazy world, and you have got to take care of yourself out there. I know Prince Harry is a smart man. That's probably my biggest concern about him going to this coronation, is that it is a crazy, crazy world out there. So we are going to continue to lift him up in our thoughts and our prayers. And we're also going to be actionable. We also as people, us little people have power as well. We can talk amongst our circles about, hey, did you hear about this in the media? Man, the media really needs to be reformed. They need to do something about it. We can donate to charities that have some basis around these causes. We can talk to our friends who actually live over in the UK and say, hey, what do you think about the subject? I can't vote particularly on this issue, but would you mind doing this, because it will help the cause of media reform? Just spreading love and compassion in the way that you can, and encouraging other people to demand a media that does the same thing, that looks at us as human beings instead of as these creatures to make angry and sad and explosive, incandescent with rage to profitize off of. I mean, it's not right. So, guys, Prince Harry's gonna be okay, and I think that he is playing so much more of a huge role than he even knows. So please let me know what you guys think in the comments. Yeah, it's a lot coming up, and I feel like after this coronation, we're going to have a lot more of our answers that we want. But media reform in the US and the UK, it is inevitable. We can see what's happening with Fox about to pay about $1 billion. Things are changing. You can't just sit there and lie to people for forever and not have to have any accountability for it. So, and I'm also really stoked about Stephen Lawrence's family and his mom getting that justice that they need, and maybe the UK making some strides forward, and how they can, present a more anti-racist, a face of anti-racism, to the world. So you guys, let me know what you think in the comments. I will be coming back to you with more. Again, thank you guys so much, all of you out there who have supported me and been there. I'm so grateful for you. I will see you in the next video. If you're new here, please go ahead and click the like and subscribe button. Hit the bell so you know whenever I post a video. Okay, bye. Love you. See you next time. Bisous. Bye.